Hello, I'm Isabel, and this is From Mud. Like a lotus flower floating effortlessly on the surface in all its beautiful glory, it is a symbol of resilience. Because that same gorgeous flower grew from the icky, sticky muck and mud just below the surface. Something beautiful grows from something dark and cold and unyielding. It grows from mud. This channel is all about resilience and wellness in the face of life's challenges. Thanks for joining. Hello, everybody. Welcome to 2026. We are here. It is the new year. We're ready with our goals. We're ready to have the best health ever, or at least be working on that. And I am really looking forward to talking about some of these things. These are my bread and butter as a health educator for the past 13 and a half years. I work with people on their health goals, and I get to watch people over a long period of time get to achieve these goals. And I am hoping to impart some information that might be helpful to you on your health and wellness journey. But before I dive into today's topics, I want to just go ahead and reintroduce myself again in case it's your first time here. I'm Isabel. I am a Master Certified Health Education Specialist, MCHES. I am a certified diabetes care and education specialist, certified fitness trainer, and I have worked in the world of health and wellness for the past 13 years in various arenas. I have worked in medical spaces, clinical spaces. I've worked in community health spaces. I've worked in policy. I've worked in behavioral health for the health education side of managing people's chronic conditions who suffer from serious mental illness. So I've been around the block enough that I think I have some things that might be helpful, or I'm hoping they're helpful for everyone here. So first, I do want to just kick off and say thank you to everyone who has listened to my first series all about my husband, Justin, and I, and how Justin was diagnosed with a very rare and aggressive kidney cancer. He survived 2 years, and we have 2 young children. So that was a very difficult series to record, of course, because I'm talking about and thinking about things I haven't thought about since then. And I know it's very heavy content, so it takes a lot to be able to listen to that and hold space for that. So if you are one of those people who send compassion and empathy and healing and prayers my way and my family's way, I really appreciate you. And I felt it. I felt the energy, I felt the love, and I felt the support from a lot of you in my life who took the time to listen to that entire series. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I do want to just switch things up and start doing a little bit more of the health and wellness side of things. I don't want this channel to be all about Justin's sad story and our sad story, because that's not our story. Sadness and just heavy and dark and sad. It's like everybody's, it's a mix of everything, right? It's like the yin yang. It's a mix of light, but within the light there's some darkness. There's the darkness, but within the darkness there's the light. So to me, that is the universal balance. That is the truth. That is what I see. That is my truth. So I want to just make sure that this channel is versatile, or I don't know what the kids call it these days, the channel, this show, whatever, my business, From Mud. I want it to be versatile. I want it to be a place where you can learn about or gain some practical health and wellness information and skills and tips and tricks. And I want it to be a space where, you know, your host, me, I am comfortable with the heavy. I can hear the sad stories. I can hold space for the heartache. I am happy to express the hard stuff. I'm happy to talk about the hard stuff. That comes easily to me. And I know it doesn't come easily to everyone or even most people in my opinion. So I'm happy to be that person who speaks these things out that I know most humans are going to be feeling. We all feel sadness, loss, grief, pain. We all feel these things from the various hardships we all go through and the various losses we have, whether it's a human that we lose who we loved, or an idea we had and we have to let that go, or something that happened in the past that we have no control over and we're trying to just grieve the loss of a life that we imagined. There's just so much grief, so many different ways to grieve. So I want this channel to kind of be a place where it's all of that. It's health and wellness, compassionate health coaching, and education, and grief, and just talking about all the real stuff in this world. So without further ado, I am going to kick things off. All right, everyone. So I really want to talk about goals. I am a goals nerd. I love setting goals. I love New Year's. My favorite holiday is New Year's because I get to set all of my goals for the next year. I know that is probably not what most people feel. And so I know I'm kind of like a health and wellness or goals nerd about this, but I do love goals. And whenever I have worked with people one-on-one or sometimes even in the group settings that I've done in the past for group education, I always have people set goals. We always set SMART goals, and have been fortunate enough in my career that I'm able to stick with people if they want to for a really long time. I mean, really long time compared to, I guess, other health and wellness services. You don't always get to have a weekly appointment with your cardiologist and just talk about your health goals and what you could be doing. But if you have a health and wellness department or health education department, you have dietitians or other kinds of highly certified nutritionists or health coaches like myself who have proper certification. If you have high quality health educators on staff that you have access to, it's great because you can stick with us for a year, 2 years. That's really, to me, that's more likely how long it takes to really create the routines and the habits that are needed to have the health outcomes that you're looking for and that are possible within your reality and what is doable with your body. But changing lifestyles takes a really long time. So the first thing I want to kind of bring up and just put into your mind, if you are a person who is like, I don't like to set New Year's goals, I don't like to set resolutions, I don't like that. I've heard it so many times from so many people that they are New Year's goals averse because they tend to not achieve the goals. That's one thing I often hear. I guess that's really what it comes down to, essentially, is that the people I have heard from who don't like to set health goals feel like it's futile. It's not worth the effort, right? Because people have set these goals and then they don't achieve them. So I really want to speak to that and see if I can't encourage you by the end of this episode. If you can set 1 to 3 at the most SMART, as in the acronym SMART, SMART goals, set 1 to 3 SMART goals for yourself for the year. Or if you want to get real nerdy with it, I am considering doing a goal setting workshop. I don't know if that would be helpful to anybody else or if it would just be my weird nerd thing that I get to do, but I am considering doing kind of like a live workshop, maybe on Instagram or something like that, or maybe on Zoom, and you can just pop in and we can just talk goals. I can help you write it in a way that helps you have a better chance of achieving the goals, things like that. But I'm going to give you some of that information here for sure. So to get started, I am going to stick to 2 major concepts that I think are essential to setting appropriate goals for yourself, especially health goals, but really any goals. And also there's a lot of goals that aren't directly health or may not seem directly health related, but maybe they are related to your mental health and well-being and stress management, and therefore that affects your overall health. So I like these structures for really any kind of goals that we're setting, but I specifically use this as a way to set goals and to help people achieve goals in my health coaching career. The two things I'm going to go over are mini habits and SMART goals. So, mini habits, there's this great video that I love on YouTube called Accomplish Everything with Mini Habits. I think that is what it's called, and it's from a channel called Better Than Yesterday. I have been showing this video to my patients and members and clients. I've had different names depending on the organization I'm with for the clientele. When I have worked with patients over the years, I have used this video to show in my sessions. I have shown these in group workshops and education classes. So look this video up, go watch it. It's great. It will motivate you and make you feel more like things are possible. But essentially, the idea is that you set your goals as mini habits instead of the big ones. In the past, I feel like people will, arrive at their New Year's goals, like New Year's here. Oh, what's your New Year's resolution? I'm going to lose weight, right? That's probably the number one that I hear coming into my office whenever I was in my health coaching roles, my health educator roles. That is probably the number one thing people want to work on, that one. And then it's going to be like nutrition, just eating healthier. And this would be for general nutrition. If you have a condition that may require something specific to stay safe and for the best possible health outcomes, you want to talk to a dietitian about what's right for you. Because if you're just talking to someone about general nutrition and you have a condition where you can't consume a certain nutrient or something like that. For example, my mom, when she had kidney failure, there came a point in her journey where she had to stop eating certain foods with minerals that her kidneys were no longer able to process. Protein was very limited to a certain number that was given to her by a registered dietitian. So if you do have a specific condition, some of the most common ones are going to be like diabetes, kidney disease, heart failure, or other cardiovascular diseases, so heart diseases. If you have something specific going on, it's not a bad idea to touch base with a dietitian at least once a year, and depending on your conditions, more than that. But I have been able to coach on general nutrition and just provide people with what the science says about what a healthy diet is. So I digress a bit, but just to get back on track. So the main goals that I usually work on with people, the most popular things are going to be weight management, usually weight loss. Some people do need to gain weight and they're working on that. Nutrition, exercise, stress management, sleep. Those are basically the main things most people want to work on. There's other goals we can go into as well, but those are definitely the big ones. So when we're going to set goals, I usually show people the mini habits video, and basically what the mini habits video has to say is that based on evidence, we see that people tend to be more successful with accomplishing their goals when those goals are achievable, rather than a big goal, and especially a big goal like lose weight, where there's no definitions about it. What does lose weight mean? What type of weight? How much? Why is this determined as so? Are you coming in to see me and you want to lose weight and you want to get back to your high school weight, but you haven't been at that high school weight for 30 years? Is that realistic at this point? Who knows? But it's not really achievable typically in the time frame that people want to achieve that goal. Countless people have come in wanting to lose 10 to 20 pounds in a month. And typically that's not possible, not likely to be possible. And in the end, it is not healthy to lose weight too quickly, There are repercussions from it. So there is no quick solution to a lot of these goals. A lot of times these are just lifestyle changes that take a lot of effort. And the way I explain it to people, it's like you're trying to create this whole new approach to life. So the mini habits video basically starts talking about how a lot of times people will set a goal, right? Let's say we have this weight loss goal. I'll just use this as an example because it's one of the big ones. They have a weight loss goal. And for that weight loss goal, they're saying, let's say they want to lose 1 pound per week, which is a realistic, achievable and recommended amount to lose per week. So they want to lose 1 pound per week. That's 4 pounds per month. In order to do that, so if you're working with me and I talk to you enough and you trust me that it's okay to not lose the 20 pounds, but it's okay to lose 4 pounds in the month. And by the way, losing 1 pound per week is not easy. It is extremely difficult. It takes an enormous amount of effort. And it's just not, your weight loss journey is not typically just weight going down, 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 down. We'll talk about that later. I want to do a whole weight loss series or something like that really spends time on weight loss goals. But let's say you come to me, you want to lose 20 pounds in a month. And I'm like, okay, here's what the research says. You can lose this much and it's still healthy. How about that? And then they're like, yeah, fine, whatever. Just let's lose weight. So we get going, right? To lose that 1 pound per week, what are we going to do? We need to have a calorie deficit, right? We need to burn more calories than we take in through our food. Very simple idea. Is it easy? No, very, very difficult. Very difficult. However, simple in concept. So we're going to look at ways that we can achieve that calorie deficit. We can either look at our nutrition and we can cut calories, but not too much, right? We don't want to go too low. Or we can burn more calories with our fitness. So let's say this particular person is like, I sit all day. I barely ever move. I need to do more with my body. I need to move my body and I need to do exercise and I should be doing this and I should be doing that. This is typical. And me as the health coach, my approach is usually, it's always going to be evidence-based. If I give you non-evidence-based information, I try to equip you with the knowledge I think you may need to make a sound decision for yourself and the safety of your body so when someone tells me something like that, I'm always going to remind you, and I really want this message to sink in if you are listening to this. When you are going into this year and you're looking at your goals, and even if you don't write them down or think much about it, but most people have a general idea of something they would like to see happen that is an improvement for themselves in the year, right? I think everyone can kind of get on board with like, by the end of the year, it'd be cool if I paid off all my debt. By the end of the year, it'd be cool if I lost some weight, right? So we can kind of, most people are comfortable thinking like, yeah, in general, I'd like to work on this, even if we don't set a goal. But when someone is working on this, I put a lot of effort in to, I guess we can say, like, help train my patients to be gentle with themselves. Gentle, gentle, gentle. It's so important to not be harsh with yourself. But the challenge comes when people have this type of programming in their mind, whatever you went through as a child, whatever your messaging was that was given to you by your caregivers and just people around you, you internalize that dialogue, right? That internal dialogue is sometimes more of a compassionate and kind, caring one, understanding, encouraging to yourself. But a lot of people have more of that critical, harsh tone within their own mind. And whenever I notice that, and I usually ask that up front, what is your internal voice like, for yourself? When you set a goal and you don't achieve that goal, what kinds of things do you tell yourself? What is the internal dialogue tone like? Is it kind and compassionate and encouraging? Like, that's okay. We didn't get it this week. It was a busy week, but we're going to get it next week. So let's just move forward and we're not going to dwell on that. Or is it more of like, wow, you're an idiot. You can't even accomplish this one little task. You can't even accomplish you can't even go on a little walk. Is it more that tone? Or is it more of the kind, compassionate tone? If it's the more self-critical tone, I like to spend some time talking about positive self-talk and training ourselves and literally practicing positive self-talk so that that starts to replace that programming. And I do want to just clarify, I am not a therapist. I am not a licensed counselor or mental health clinician or practitioner. This is basic positive thinking and a little bit of coaching on positive thinking, but there's potentially, if you have traumas there that are more than just simply practicing positive thinking, you may need to look into a trauma counselor or just a counselor who can help you to kind of like work through that in a more therapeutic and clinical way than what I'm able to provide. So just keep that in mind when I say some of these things. If you know that your conditions and your mental health is such that you require a higher level of therapeutic mental health services, please know that that person is very important to your team and you should definitely involve them in your goals. So, okay. So basically this person who wants to, back to my example, this person who wants to lose weight, they've decided they don't move their body enough. They should be doing a bunch of things that they're not doing, how bad they are. I'm a terrible person because I don't move my body because I'm too busy and stressed because life is crazy. Be more gentle, please. Be more gentle. Being more gentle and compassionate with yourself actually helps you to achieve your goals. It is shown to help you achieve your goals and to increase the likelihood that you can achieve your goals, rather than the harsh critical self-talk tends to not help people accomplish their goals. So now we have this exercise goal, right? They want to exercise. And I'm like, okay, so what would you like to, what goal would you like to set for yourself and for when? A lot of times they'll be like, I'll start next week. I'll start on Monday and I'm going to do 1 hour of exercise. And I want to do it 5 days a week. And then I say to them, okay, you're going from 0 exercise right now. And I usually do this in my assessment. I talk to the patient or client and receive that information about their baseline. What does your exercise look like now? What did it look like in the past? So I'll have that information at my ready to conceptualize their relationship with physical activity and movement. And let's say this person already told me they are not exercising at all. And they haven't done exercise in years. Maybe they had injuries, maybe whatever, they're overworked, they're busy, they're tired, they're parents, they just don't have time for it and it just kind of fell by the wayside. Maybe they used to be active. Let's go with that. Let's say this person used to be active and just over the past couple of years they really haven't done much. People who used to be active, one small challenge I've found is that people in that situation usually have a really hard time with setting small goals. And that's where I'm going with this really is like, we don't want to set big goals. We can set big goals, but we want that to be the long-term goal. That's not the goal you think about on the daily. That's the goal that you're like, let me revisit at the end of the year and see where I'm at with it. And from that bigger goal is where we're going to set those smaller goals that are more achievable, bite-sized goals that add up to the ultimate big goal. So this person wants to get to 60 minutes of 5 days a week of fitness, some type of fitness that they want to do. So I take that goal and I say, okay, so we are at 0 right now. And you want to get to 5 days a week at 60 minutes per day. Typically, that's too big of a jump for most people. There's going to be people out there who just roll like that. They just need to dive in full on and they can sustain it. But typically, most people are not as successful with approaching goals like that. Typically, people are more successful when they have achievable goals. To me, going from 0 days of exercise to 5 days, 60 minutes of exercise is not typically sustainable. And I think that's a good word to think of when we're talking about healthy lifestyle goals. We want to think about sustainability. What is a sustainable approach? What is going to help us put down a foundation that can hold the structure up and that can last? Like thinking about building a house, right? You're putting if you don't put a good foundation, the house can crumble, right? We want to really take our time, really be methodical, really think about that we're building this foundation. It's not glamorous usually. It's typically frustrating. It's usually not good enough for us. But if you take the time, if you can just get your mind to be more patient with yourself and these goals and think long term, think sustainable. It also depends on what your goal is. If your goal is simply to, for this example, just to lose weight, you could do that. You could just do a cleanse, right? You could do master cleanse. You could do keto, very, very strict keto, right? And then you're going to lose all this weight. And then guess what's going to happen the minute you stop? Yep, I know you're saying it. You're going to gain that weight back because those are not sustainable approaches. To me, a sustainable approach to healthy weight management, nutrition, exercise, these types of things, a sustainable approach is something that is in harmony with you as a person, what is important to you, what makes you happy, truly makes you happy, what brings you peace. You're working with the goals, right? You're not just like setting this stringent goal on yourself. That's not nice feeling and not enjoyable. So ideally, we want to make goals that work for us. And if you are not accomplishing your goal, it is the goal. It is not you. You need to restructure the goal. That's my opinion, and that's what I like to do when I'm in health coaching and try to impart that on my clients. So we want to set goals that are sustainable for the long term, or working towards you being able to sustain these things for the long term. And typically we adjust better when those goals are incremental rather than a radical change, like the 60-minute 5 days a week goal that someone might really want to have right now. And we all suffer from this, maybe specifically American culture, but probably other cultures that are similar or similar enough to the US. We want things now. We are used to instant gratification. We are used to being able to just buy something and boom, we have it. We are used to that. This and these types of goals are not going to be instant gratification if you want them to last. Anyone can lose weight. Not everyone can sustain that weight loss, and not everyone can sustain that weight loss in a way that is more peaceful for the person. And that's really what I like to work on with people, is finding a way to work on health goals and keep improving on your health in the ways that you want to, that are not painful to work on and that are empowering and that make you feel good and nourished and strong and positive and proud of yourself and capable. Ideally, when I work with people, clients, I want the person to be able to not need me anymore to encourage them or help them with goal setting, because they have all the skills they need and they just don't need me anymore. That's really the ultimate goal of people in my field. So sustainability, kindness, compassion to yourself. It's so much, for a lot of people, it's easy to be compassionate towards other people or kind to other people around them, like your loved ones. And I find that people don't always turn that same kindness and compassion towards themselves when it comes to health goals. A lot of times people are their harshest critic, or they're the hardest on themselves, but they would never say the types of things they say to themselves in their own head to their loved ones. So I'm going to get back into the mini habits, right? So this person who's giving me this, I want to be a person who does exercise 5 days a week for an hour. And then I'll say to them, yeah, so I love this goal and I definitely think it's achievable in time. Let's just say statistically, it's improbable that you will be able to sustain 5 days a week of 60 minutes starting on Monday in a few days, and then keep that going forever. The chances are, and the mini habits video goes over this, the chances are you get real excited about a goal, right? You're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm ready. This is my year. I'm going to lose the weight for good. And you go into it, you set your big goal, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Then tomorrow you're like, yeah, I do my cardio. I went on a run. I even did my strength workout. So you're doing good. First day was like, psh, psh, yep, you accomplished it. Next day comes and you're like, I don't want to, but you're still feeling that motivation, right? You're still feeling that energy. So then you get going, you start doing your goal. You're like, okay, that was hard, but I did it. Yay, 2 days down. Great. Third day comes and you're not feeling it. And also you just don't have the time. It's busy. You got to drop the kids off, or you have extra things at work, or whatever it is. Maybe your mental health is like starting to kick in. You're like, oh, bedtime, bed now. I need to be in bed. Whatever the reason is, for whatever reason, third day is a wash, right? You're like, oh man, okay, I fell off the wagon. And then the fourth day comes, you're really not feeling it. You manage to do a little bit of something, but it's not good enough to you. You're like, wow, I didn't do as much as I did the first 2 days and I'm not feeling it. But you squeeze it out, right? You get it done. Then you go to the next day and you're like, I can't do it because I'm busy, whatever. Then the weekend comes and you're not motivated again because of how painful it was to do that full 60 minutes from 0 to 60 minutes. Now you're kind of like, I know how much it's going to hurt and I know how hard it's going to be. So I don't want to do it. So you're like, you know what? I already missed a day. I'm just going to start again on Monday. Now you've missed 3 days of your goal. And typically by this time, people give up. So, you kind of get it going for a little while. It's not sustainable because the goal is too big and you give up. And then you're like, you know what? This is pointless. I don't have the time. I'm never going to be able to accomplish these goals. That's where I come in. And then I'm like, okay. Let's look at this, right? You were at 0. You set this huge goal, which I love. However, as we can see, because you tried, what that felt like and what that level of effort would be to sustain that 60-minute 5 days a week, especially from this point where you haven't been doing anything, fitness wise. So going from 0 days to 5 days in a full hour, that's a major jump. So what I like to do is that's kind of where I come in with, let's break this goal down. For me, and this is what I always check in on with people, the sweet spot for your goal is it should be challenging but achievable. That's where we want the goal to be. If it is not achievable and extremely challenging, we want to edit the goal. If it is extremely easy, 0 challenging, totally achievable, you're doing it, it's a breeze, we want to progress the goal. That's when you know it's time to progress the goal. And you stay in that sweet spot until you reach one of those ends, right? Or until you notice it's at one of those ends. So let's say I'm talking to this person again, and I'm like, okay, so what if we think about that fitness goal, right? 5 days a week for 60 minutes. And we put that as your by the end of the year goal, right? Let's walk that back. So we can kind of break it down in a lot of different ways. Let's say by half of the year, we want to be, right now we're at 0. We want to be at the 5 days, 60 minutes by the end of the year. Let's say by half of the year, we want to be halfway to that. Still a huge goal. Half of that would be either 5 days, 30 minutes or 3 days, 60 minutes, something like that. Right? So you can choose which one you want to do. Like it might depend on your schedule. It might depend on your personality, on which of those 2 routes you want to go. This is why working with a health coach is great, because you can modify these things to your specific needs, your schedule, your personality, your specific challenges. Whoever you take care of at home, they need you a certain amount of time, and you only have these windows. So we're working within certain windows when you're a busy person and you don't have a lot of flexibility on when you can do exercise, right? You're just working with what you got. And then life's going to get in the way. That's a whole different thing. Right now we're just pretending our goal is actually just going to go smooth sailing. So it won't. It will not. There will always be challenges. Another part of my efforts as a health coach is recognizing that or helping other people recognize and truly accept that there will be challenges and your goals will not be accomplished 100% of the time. And you need to make peace with that and recognize that that is part of the journey. Failure is a prerequisite for success. I don't know where I heard that, I forget, but I love it. Failure is a prerequisite for success. You have to fall down. You have to, quote unquote, fail in order to get to where you want to go. So stop beating yourself up for it, right? Just because you don't accomplish your goal doesn't mean you're a bad person or you're a failure or you're a loser or anything like that. Again, it's the goal. Or if it's not the goal, then maybe there's a very obvious barrier or a not so obvious barrier. And that's when you work with your health coach to try to figure out what got in the way, what are solutions. It's an opportunity for us to be more successful moving forward. This is why failure is a prerequisite for success. You have to know what doesn't work in order to get some ideas on what might work and then try those things out. But sometimes it is just look at the goal. What is not working for you with that goal? You will get to your goals, but you need to set those smaller goals differently than your big goal, right? You have your long-term goal, you have your short-term goal, and then your short-term goals can break down to monthly, weekly, daily, however you need it to break down and think about it. So back to my example. We want to get to the 5 days, 60 minutes. We want to get to half of the year. And let's say she's going to do 5 days, 30 minutes by half of the year, by the halfway point of the year. That's halfway to her goal. So by June of 2026, and let's say we chose cardio to focus on. We're not even going to think about strength. We're just going to try and get the 1 hour of cardio in. And this person wants to focus on walking as a goal, which I highly recommend if you are able and your body likes it and doesn't hurt from it. Walking is a great exercise. And I'm speaking specifically to you ex-athletes out there who don't think walking is enough. It is enough. It is enough. It is enough. Did you hear me? It's enough. Walking is great. You just want to try to get your heart rate up a little bit so that it's at like a 50 to 80% of your max heart rate. So it's in your target range, your target heart rate range. As long as you're accomplishing that, literally doesn't matter what activity you do. As long as it is, for me as a health coach, what I would care about is as long as you are willing to do it, it's sustainable. It's something you could see yourself doing in the long term, or at least in the short term. It feels good on your body. It does not cause pain, and you will do it. The main prerequisite is, will you do that exercise? If you are willing to do it, it is a good exercise for you. If, again, the other things I mentioned, doesn't cause pain and you either like it or are okay with it. That's kind of the space I try to encourage people to be in. Like, what's a physical activity you either enjoy or at least don't mind doing? We don't want to try and do activities we truly don't like. I've had people come in and they're like, I guess I'm gonna do running. And then I'll be like, oh, do you enjoy running? They'll be like, no, but it seems like I should do that. And then I get to be the one to be like, no, you don't. We can find something else for you to do that you might prefer. We don't need to do things just because we're supposed to do things, because society tells us we're supposed to be waking up at 5 a.m. and have this amazing routine and every day, or we're not going to be a success. Don't listen to that. That might work for some people, but that doesn't necessarily mean it works for everyone. So keep that in mind, that this is going to be specific to you. This is going to be specific to your approach and your personality and what you like and what you don't like and your lifestyle, all these different factors. So back to my example. So we're halfway through the year. We're working on that 30 minutes, 5 days a week of walking. Now we have a SMART goal, don't we? SMART stands for when we're talking about SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound, right? So specific, we are talking about specific type of exercise. So and really it's under the umbrella of weight loss, right? So we have a weight loss goal. Beneath that weight loss goal is answering the question, how are we going to achieve this weight loss, right? How are we going to achieve the 1 pound of weight loss per week? We are going to increase our exercise and our movement. And how are we going to increase our exercise and our movement? We are going to be walking. How much are we going to be walking? Right now we're doing 0, so we are going to increase it to 30 minutes. We're aiming for 30 minutes, 5 days a week. To me, that is still too big of a goal to jump right into from 0, but I'll go back to that in a moment. But SMART goals, right? Specific. So we're talking about a specific type of approach to losing weight, which is exercise, and a specific type of exercise even, which is walking. And if we need to go further with that goal and even further specify, we could even say, every morning after I drop the kids off at school, I will walk for 30 minutes on 5 days per week. Boom. Or another approach, you can do the 10 minutes at a time is fine. As far as I know, American Heart Association is still using that verbiage, that you can break up your cardio goals in 10-minute increments. So maybe this person works and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do my 10-minute walk after my breakfast, 10-minute walk after my lunch, and a 10-minute walk with my kids after dinner. And that's your 30 for the day. Good. Great. Might still be too big. Anyway, we're going to go with that. So we're specific, right? It's very specific. It's not just like, I'm going to lose weight. That's not specific. That's very vague and not really having any purpose, right? What kind of weight? What if you're just losing water weight because you did keto and now you lost like 20 pounds of water weight? Does that matter? No, we're just trying to lose fat. We don't want to lose muscle. We don't want to lose, fluid exchange is going to happen regardless. That's not the real weight we're focusing on. We're focused on losing fat, right? That's what we're really talking about when we're losing weight, is just fat loss. And fat is just very, very rigid, does not want to move. It wants to stay there. Your body's like, no, this is for emergencies. Let's keep all the fat. Back to my example. So we've got that, right? Specific. The next thing is an M, right? Smart. Measurable. I will walk 30 minutes, 5 days per week. Measurable. When that person comes back to me next week and I say, how did you do on your walking goal? And then they'll be like, oh, it's pretty good. I did pretty good. Okay, what does pretty good mean? Well, so you had the goal of 5 days per week. Did you get to go 5 days? And then they'll be like, no, I only got 3 days. Or I only got 2 days. Okay, and then you had the goal of doing 30 minutes. So did you get the 30 minutes in on those 2 or 3 days that you went? And then they'll be like, no, I was only able to do 10 minutes on the 3 days. Okay, well, that's great. That's more than you were doing last week. So, progress, it's about progress, not perfection. That same person, I might have to talk a little bit with them about, the self-compassion thing, if they're beating themselves up, and I'll ask them, how do you feel about that? And they might be like, well, I'm mad. I don't like that. I just want to lose this weight and I can't even walk for 30 minutes on more than 3 days a week. That's ridiculous. So it's like that kind of tone. And then it gives me an opportunity to hold space for them, let them get that out, vent that out, and then come in as I hear that frustration and I totally get it. And at the same time, from an evidence-based health professional, you are doing the right things right now. You are progressing. That is what it's about. Right now, it's about setting that foundation. This part of your journey is not glamorous. This part of your journey is the drudgery. This is the work. This is where you're going to fall down a lot of times. This will happen. Do not let it stop you. You will never give up on this. You always move forward. You always keep going. This is your health. It will be the lifetime work for yourself of working on this. There is no point where you arrive at perfect health and then you're done. And then you can just eat all the sweets you want. No, this is something you build and then sustain. So 3 days per week of 10 minutes of walking when you did 0 last week, amazing, truly amazing. Keep that going. I try my best to stay neutral. I am just a cheerleader type of person. So the cheerleaderness comes out of me, but I do have to moderate that because it's not helpful for people. So I do try to be as neutral as possible in my health coaching when I'm wearing my health coaching hat. So if you do work with me on health coaching, which I do plan to open up a few spots for health coaching, just know that I tend to be more neutral in my health coaching than I am in my real life. I'm just that type of person. But if that person is telling me, they did their 10 minutes, and then I'm going to say, after, how did you feel that you didn't accomplish the full thing, but you got some of it in? Like, how do you feel? Some people might be like, you know what? I actually feel really good because I almost didn't want to do it, and I'm just glad I did something. So that might be the approach, or the person might be beating themselves up and they're like, it's not good enough. I need to do the 30 at that point. And oftentimes I'll encourage people, like, whatever big goal you have, I say, try it, see how it feels, see how it fits, and then we're going to restructure our goals many times. So I encourage you, try things out. If you have an idea and you feel the motivation, go for it. Just do it and see how it feels. As long as it's safe for your body, try it and see what happens. It's an experiment, and then we're going to edit. So let's say this person comes back, right? And they're like, okay, maybe I see them every 2 weeks, right? So let's say they say the first week they got 4 days in of a mixed bag. Maybe they got the 30 minutes in one time, a 30 minutes in, then they didn't get enough, and then they skipped the last day. They just skipped the other days. So they got the 3 days, right? And then the next week they come in and they're like, I only got 2 days with the 10 minutes. So it's kind of petering out, right? First week they were motivated, they got a few days in, and then the next week it was like, it's too hard, but they got something in. So this is the perfect type of conversation I like to have. Okay, how challenging was the 2 days, 10 minutes? And they'll be like, not that challenging, but kind of challenging, honestly. And then, maybe they don't feel good about themselves because they think they need to do more. Again, more coaching, more encouraging, reminding them, stay on track. Don't get distracted by the perfectionist culture we live in that tells you that if you don't accomplish something first time, that it's a failure. Don't listen to that. Focus on what you're doing. You're doing more right now than you did last week. That's the most important thing. Keep doing that. We're either maintaining or we're progressing. Right now, you said it was pretty challenging. That is my sweet spot. Challenging but achievable. 2 days, 10 minutes, right? They might want to set a goal. So then that will be our new goal. So we still have our long-term goal, right? By the end of the year, we're still trying to work towards that 60 minutes, 5 days per week goal. Halfway point goal, halfway point in the year goal is 30 minutes, 5 days per week. Here we are at the beginning of the year, and we are at 2 days, 10 minutes is challenging. Let's stick to that and build on it. So that's where I would encourage them. I'd say, how would you feel about setting a goal that is your same walking goal, moderate intensity, right? 5 out of 10 difficulty, trying to get the blood pumping a little. We want to be at least at a moderate pace for that training effect to take place, for the cardiovascular benefits to take place. Now we're at 2 days, 10 minutes. So let's say the person is like, okay, that seems like not enough. But if you're telling me this, then I will try it. And maybe I let them know. And I usually let people know, if you want to do more, because if you can get in the 3 days, we'll change the goal and we'll graduate this goal to the next one. If this is still challenging to do 2 days of 10 minutes, but you think it's going to work for you, we'll keep going until you get that 3rd day, or until maybe you just focus on those 2 days and trying to get to the hour point on just the 2 days. So then maybe she comes back in a few weeks and she's like, you know what, I'm doing this goal pretty well. I've got a bit of a routine now. I'm waking up once I get back from dropping off the kids. I do my 10-minute walk and I've got it down. So those, I'm accomplishing them. And I usually wait a few weeks, a few sessions to see if the person has consistently been able to accomplish that goal, or if they're very passionate about it, like, nope, I'm ready to move on. Let's go. Then I follow their lead. I follow your lead. If I'm working with you health coaching, you are steering, I am supporting. So if they want to go up, then we go up and we see how it goes. Let's say they come back and they're like, you know what, this feels really good. It's still kind of challenging for me. I want to keep it for a while. Or maybe I could say 2 to 3 days. That way there's a little bit of like, maybe I can squeeze that 3rd day in. That's how I like to work on goals. So that's the mini habits part of it. You take your big goal, you break it down so small that it is achievable. The main thing you're doing with these goals, especially at the beginning, and especially very difficult goals like exercise goals, are some of the hardest ones you're going to work on. Stress management might be another big one. Sleep is another big one. And nutrition. Really, all 4 of those can pose major challenges depending on the person. So being able to just keep the goal going is sometimes more important than the goal itself. So let's say we get to that 30-minute mark and, they're having a hard time doing the full 30 minutes some of the days. It's more important to keep the momentum going. Momentum over motivation. You don't need motivation to accomplish your goals. You need momentum. You need to keep it going. You need to break it down smaller. On the days that it's extra hard, you need to break it down smaller so that you can achieve those goals. So that's where I would end up with that person probably is, let's start with the 2 to 3 days, 10 minutes of walking until that's easy. Then we'll add a day, or we'll add more minutes, and we'll just keep building on it from there. But you need to let yourself adjust to what it's like to do life with these big changes, these big goals, moving your body in a way that you're not used to. Let yourself adapt. Let yourself get accustomed to the lifestyle that you're building. And I just want to wrap up with the rest of SMART, because I realized I just did the S and the M. So this same goal, right? It's attainable, right? Is 2 days of 10 minutes of walking attainable? Is it doable? Is it realistic? This answer would depend on the person. So let's just say for this example, yes, this person, I would ask them, is this something that you think is attainable? Is this realistic for you? And they would tell me, yes. 2 to 3 days of walking for 10 minutes is doable. It is something I definitely can do. I have the time for. I can do it. Okay, great. Now the T, time bound. For me, I don't usually write out the time bound portion of it, but it is implied with our sessions. Usually if I'm seeing someone every week or every 2 weeks, we know that the goal lasts for the 2 weeks. So I will walk for 10 minutes on 2 to 3 days every week for the next 2 weeks. Boom. Now you have your SMART goal. Write that SMART goal down with your handwriting. Put it up somewhere that you see it. If you are the type to forget about your goals, like I think the most easily forgotten goal that I've worked on with people a lot of times is drinking water. That's a goal that a lot of people want to work on and they just forget. And so write your goal down, put it somewhere you can see in your handwriting. It's you speaking to you. There's something more powerful when it's you speaking to yourself. And your handwriting is you speaking to yourself and reminding yourself of the goal that you're working on so that you can have that in your mind at all times. How can I accomplish this goal? And those days when you need to pivot because things don't go as planned, you have it in your subconscious like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to walk. Well, maybe while I'm here at the doctor's office, it's taking a really long time. Maybe I'll just do my walk right now in the parking lot and I'll go do 10 minutes around the parking lot. Now you've accomplished your goal, even though you thought you weren't going to because you didn't expect the doctor's office wait to be so long. Write your goal down. Write it in your handwriting. Put it somewhere you can see. Make it pretty. If you're the type of person who likes to look at something that's aesthetically more pleasing and that's motivating for you, do that. I also encourage you to write your why on that same paper. Why are you even doing this? It's a hard goal. You're going to need a lot of tools to keep that goal going and to accomplish that goal. I'll talk about neuroplasticity and how it relates to health goals in another episode, but you are basically doing the equivalent effort, some of these goals like fitness goals, of carving out a new trail with a machete rather than walking down the well-carved paths that are already there. That's your brain pathways, right? Like you already have your routines and things, and those are easy to do because you already do them. Now you're creating a whole new routine. It's like carving out from scratch. It's a lot of effort. Give yourself some grace. Let yourself fail, quote unquote, fail. It is part of this. So set your goals up in a way. Get yourself your tools like your why. Like, why are you doing this? Because I want my whys with a line. And then underneath, write your whys. To feel good when I'm older. To be there for my kids. To be an example for my siblings. Whatever it is. Whatever the reasons are and what motivates you, write those down. Put them on your paper with your goal. Put them in front of your face somewhere, put it on your bathroom mirror, put it on your front door, put it on your car, wherever you're going to see it, and you're not going to ignore it. And if you start ignoring it, move it. And that's kind of my approach. That's what I like to work on with people whenever just as a baseline, I like to start with combining the goals, getting them to a place where they are basically mini habit SMART goals, essentially. I think this is a good place to stop. Don't be afraid of your goals. Don't be afraid of setting New Year's resolutions. Don't be afraid to commit and fail. It's okay to fail, but set that goal, set your intention. You don't have to tell anyone about it. Just tell yourself about it. Write it down. Pick 1 to 3 things. We typically can't work on too many goals and accomplish them. 1 big goal or 3 at the most. So don't be afraid of your goals. Just know that there is a way to approach goals that increases your chances of accomplishing those goals. And evidence is in support of the approach of using SMART goals and mini habits approaches to achieving those goals, breaking your big goals down into bite-sized pieces and building up on them over time, incrementally building up until you get to that ultimate goal. Or you find a different goal that is more important. You are allowed to change your goals. I hope this was helpful today, and I am going to close us out. And I will always close us out with a gratitude practice or something similar that I think aligns with what I'm trying to do here. I am a big proponent of gratitude and practicing gratitude for mental health, for well-being, for your general physical health. It helps all the things. So today for our gratitude practice, I want to invite you all to verbalize, again, out loud, just in your own mind, if you journal. But I want you to take a moment and express some gratitude to yourself for something that you did for yourself, for your health, for your well-being, your self-care. How did you take care of yourself? And just to take a moment and acknowledge that you did that for you. That's what it means to take care of yourself, for self-care. You're caring for yourself, and you can express gratitude for yourself for prioritizing yourself. In this society we live in, we don't always get to be celebrated for doing things for ourselves. I will lead us off. I am grateful that so far this year, I have been able to go on a couple jogs. I have been able to do a bit of movement that I wanted to do. And I'm grateful that I was able to work on this podcast. So can be as simple as can be. It can be the most simple things to thank yourself for, but just take that little moment to acknowledge yourself and the fact that you made a specific effort for yourself, to take care of yourself. If that feels uncomfortable for you, I want you to just notice that. Just observe it. Why does it feel uncomfortable for me to be thankful for myself? Why does it feel more natural for me to be thankful towards other people? Why is it so hard for me to appreciate myself? I don't know if that's speaking to anybody, but I did just want to throw that out there. You don't need to do anything with that, just observe. And I think that's where I will end today's podcast. Thanks again for being here. Adios, amigos.